for episode 5, and I'm going to be like chopping off the beginning of this for anyone who has to watch this on the replay. So hello and welcome to season 4, episode 5 of Fabrically Speaking Live. I'm your host, Claire Rowley, and today I'm going to show you how to actually sew the book cover that I have been inking over the last 3 episodes of Fabrically Speaking Live. If you want to be able to actually make this exact same book, then be sure to subscribe to my channel and go into the playlists, and then in the playlist look for Fabrically Speaking Live, and you'll be able to watch the last 3 episodes and then today be able to actually sew it. Now I was going to ink another one and surprise you guys with some wonderful work of art today. You need it louder? Okay, is that better? I don't want to max out the sound. Try turning your volume up and then if it's, tell me if it's better. Sherilyn Winningham, what a name. Okay, so one of the fast ways to make a quilt is to just lay fabric down and sew it up, but that's not fun. So I thought I would do a little foundation quilting as you go, and we'll make a book out of that. How's that? So when you do quilting as you go, what you want to do is you want to start out with your centerpiece being right sides facing up. Am I right? Yes, I'm right. And I got to select some colors here. Good. It should work because usually I'm too loud. All right, here we go. That is still frozen on a scene that's not actually here. So let's see if we can wake this camera up. There we go. All the cameras got upset apparently. Oh, and you'll see in a minute that it's right. Wow, everything got whack-a-doodled. All right, so if we start with a fabric in the middle that we like, and this is going to go great with the fabric bowl that I created using the same fabrics and the same technique. This is the bamboo batting that's under here, and it's got a lot of static cling. So what I'm trying to do is make sure that I position that straight. An easier way to position it straight would be to use the CutterPillar. And I do have it beneath this. But I have the edge-to-edge mat, which doesn't have any lines on it, so I could trace the design. And then you plug it in. And this is the Ultra. This is the one that we've been out of since September of last year. So if you've been waiting to get it, you can order it today, and they're starting to ship them today. So if you've had one on order with us for a while, and you're wondering, it should ship this week. So, well, they got to ship a lot of orders, so you'll get a tracking number as soon as I am sent one from them. What I like to do is I like to attach my pattern pieces to the back side of the mat using our liquid-based glue, so I can just peel it off easy when I do quilt blocks, so that I know after I cut a piece that I know it's the right size. I can just lay it over the top. But right now we're just going to use this to see if our lines are straight. And I'm going to try to look past all of these, because I actually have to finish filming the quilt blocks. So I'm going to use the lines on the mat and line up this fabric and try to line it up so that it's straight on the batting. It looks pretty good. So now I'm going to go ahead and take and place right side of the fabric right to right, and try not to waste the fabric. In other words, you don't need to start with your fabric overlapping really far out from the side, you can bring it up close to the end so you're not wasting. And then one of the things that can happen when you do this type of piecing is that the fabrics can shift on you. To eliminate any chance of shifting, you can use the liquid-based glue and just put some drops on the fabric. Slide your finger across and lay it down. And this is pinning without pins. Very little is needed for that to work, by the way. And then we're going to use the Satinedge Foot because I like perfect 1/4 inch seam allowances. Hello everybody, I haven't had a chance to look at the chat. Know that I love you and I'm so happy that you're here with me today. Gotta let the glue get to the bottom. So I just do like every 3 inches, just one little dot, and then just slide your finger across to have it spread out. That makes it dry quicker as well. And now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and sew using the Satinedge Foot. Hopefully that camera. Oh, oh, it's frozen too. So we'll have to wake it up as well. I really put my cameras through a lot this morning, apparently. Wake it up. All right, here we go. So the Satinedge Foot gives you perfect 1/4 inch seam allowances. I have blue thread on here, and since what I'm making really doesn't matter that much to me, and you'll be able to see it contrast better, I'm going to leave it on. To make sure that I am going to achieve a 1/4 inch seam allowance, I'm going to take a measuring tape and make sure I'm using the inch side of the measuring tape and place it down on top of the fabric. You select a left needle position and then take the measuring tape and place it beneath the foot. Lower the needle down so that it hovers over one of the lines on the measuring tape. So I'm making sure that my needle is down on one of those lines, and then I'm going to move the guide on the foot over to the 1/4 inch mark. If a pattern calls for a scant 1/4 inch, go back scant and you'll have a scant 1/4 inch foot as well. So I'm not there yet. Turning the guide moves. Turning the nut moves the guide. Now, if you have another foot that doesn't have a guide like this, and you're pretty good at your 1/4 inch, you can just go ahead and use your 1/4 inch foot. Oh, I've been working hard at these cameras, you guys, so you should be really pleased with how the cameras are looking. I'm so excited to have all that working. I gotta make sure I don't move anything next week. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just push towards the white part of the guide right there. Let's see if my really close shot. Let's see. This is my really close shot. Now it may be blurry because I didn't get a chance to set focus. But the goal is to just bring the fabric right there and make sure it touches it. It doesn't matter how much. Notice that I don't move this hand. I'm able to just rest my hand and one finger really guiding, just pushing toward the guide, and then it pushes back the other way. Very light touch, like you're brushing something off a table. You don't want to push down hard. And then the foot steers for you. So you can see how fast you can complete something like this when you can go full speed and not have to sit there and worry about how... What is that camera moved now? Got this one set up wrong. What's going on this camera? Very strange. What's going on? Hopefully I won't have to do this every time I switch cameras, because this is going to slow down today. So normally when people sew, they tend to position their body kind of like hunched over. If you do that, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. So when you push down or lean down like that, you compress the vertebrae in your neck and your back. It's really not good for you. The creative feet allow you to rest when you sew, and that is why I have a pattern for these cushions, so that you can put your elbows down on a soft, cushy pillow, and one for each elbow. And then you're able to kind of just rest and let the sewing machine do the work. And the reason this foot works like this is because I designed it for someone who was born blind and deaf. And so it really had to do the guiding. I'm going to chop off this. I took my scissors out. Oh, I got extra pair. Thank you guys for entertaining people that are coming in. Welcome all of you new to my channel. And we had a little bit of problems this morning. It's not morning. I don't think I'm getting enough sleep. Hopefully the camera is going to be working. It's not. It's like asleep again. This is not fun. Why is this doing this? It's acting like it's acting like I'm asking it to deactivate them when I'm not using them, and I'm not. Come on, camera. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, that was weird. So here we have the fabric just laid over, and if you like ironing, well, you could have your iron ready, or you could use one of my pressers and skip the ironing and just press that down. We are making pressers tomorrow. Hello, April. Well, you're not late because I was late because we had mishaps. So basically what I'm doing is I'm creating a book cover, and I'm going to have it be strip piece like this using the quilt as you go method, because we're actually stitching right through the batting, and you don't need a backing, because I'm going to show you how I sew these book covers together in a manner that is easier if you don't back it. I mean, there's no need to back it first. It's kind of a waste of money if you do. So now I can continue going out, going this direction and sewing it over. So you'll see it won't take me long. And this time I'm not going to use the glue, just so that you can see that you can get away with it without using the glue. But it's easier to glue. So if you like to take the easy path to success, the gluing process is going to ensure that you don't have a wavy or crisscrossing of your fabric as you go. Oh, it looks like things are going to work now. Yay! Uh-oh. My sewing machine didn't start. That's because I'm wearing shoes. I don't usually wear shoes when I sew. Do you guys wear shoes when you sew? If you say, tell me, go no shoes or shoes. If I wear shoes, I really don't sew as well as I do when I don't wear shoes. Very interesting to me. Are you laughing at me or are you laughing at each other? A laughable start of the day. I knocked over a whole bunch of things I have to pick up afterward. Oh my goodness. That's what I get for moving one thing in this studio. So if you haven't seen quilting as you go like this before, it's really quite simple. Man, you guys can wear shoes, so I'm so impressed. Hi, Kathleen, Tina, Wendy, Amy, other Wendy, Judy, Brenda, other Brenda. Welcome, you guys. Tina, I don't know. The chat's moving too fast. All right. You're laughing at Tina? If you guys want to get to know each other well enough to laugh at one another, be sure to join createwithclairerowley.com, which is my free online school. If you feel like you want to learn from someone who messed up their show today. So once again, I'm just using my presser, sliding it across, moving it at a diagonal. So not coming down straight, but coming down at an angle. And we're making these tomorrow. The only colors we're sold out of right now are the Tequila Sunrise, which is, actually there's one Tequila Sunrise left, which is the orange one that I'm using. And yours will be brighter like that. This is one that I accidentally burnt as I was cooking it. And if you don't know what I mean when I say that, my latest newsletter, there's a video showing you how I make these, how we cook these, how we take the wood and put it into a pressure cooker of sorts and suck resin into the wood after pulling out all the air. And then after I've done that, it sits for a few hours with the pressure so that you know that every cavity, every little follicle in the wood has resin in it where there isn't wood. And it makes it really strong so that you can drop them. How many of you have them and have dropped it? What do you mean there's no sound? There's sound now. I hear sound. Check your volume button, Charlene. Am I saying that right? Charlene? Because I can hear my own voice in my ear. That's why I know the sound is working. So check your volume setting. Maybe you accidentally muted it. Unless you're watching on the replay in the live chat. I definitely didn't cut this very straight, but it's okay. Oh, so I don't need that right now. If you can go back and you can rewind, if you rewind, you'll end up finding the section where my microphone was just not connected. After I stitch this, I'm going to do some quilting on it. I'm going to use more than one method of quilting here today. I'm going to try to teach you so much that you'll be feeling it was really worth the time that I spent trying to get my microphone to work. I got all your requests in the school for what I should teach this week. So I'm trying to do a little bit of each today. I'm going to take the yarn as well. I'm going to use the Sequins and ribbon foot and put some yarn on this. And I'm going to do my best to finish this. I don't have anywhere to be afterward. So this is the fastest way to get a quilt together. Now I'm going to take the fabric and I'm going to spin it around and work the other way. So on this half of the quilt, all the bumps, all the rises or the curbs are pointing this direction, and from on this side over, all of the bumps will be reversed. And if you want to do stitching in a ditch type of quilting, this is a good method. Because when you stitch in a ditch, you need a curb, you need a raised area in order to get your needle to go into the ditch. Ditch being another word for gutter. implying that it is similar to walking down the street and you're walking on the sidewalk, and off the sidewalk there's a curb. And if you step off the curb, you're in the gutter. So that's why some of you may have had a really hard time maintaining a ditch, is you may have pressed your seams so that they're open. And if you do, then you don't have a ditch. You like how I admit all my mistakes? Well, I'm a human being. I try to be perfect for about 5 minutes, and then I go, no, there's no point. I hate, oh my goodness. Hi, Lynn. See, everybody learned your name. Everyone knows that Country Silkworm is Lynn from Australia. Tell me where you guys are all coming or watching me from, so that we can all get to know you better. There's a lot more of you than usual because I finally got my streaming to correctly go to Facebook. And if you are on Facebook and I don't see your name, it's because you need to give Restream permission to see your profile. So once again, you just press that over, and this whole thing is being quilted as you go. So in other words, attached to the batting. Now I could flip this around, but I can also stitch in a ditch on both sides. So on this middle one, I'll have a stitch and a ditch over here and a stitch and a ditch over here. And the foot position, I'm going ahead of myself. I'm going to slow myself down here. Press this open. Arlington, Washington. Hi, Gail from Florida. Wendy from Bismarck, North Dakota. I haven't been to North Dakota yet. I haven't been to North Dakota or Alaska or Montana. Those are the 3 states that I've yet to go to. Are you thinking that I am taking anything you say personally? Because I'm not. I know you guys well enough. I know you guys love me. If you didn't love me, you wouldn't keep watching me every week. Thank you so much, by the way, for all of the clicks that you do outside of here and in the Facebook realm and on YouTube and in the school. I appreciate it, and I notice. I do notice, and it does help with the algorithm. So once again, each time I'm laying a piece of fabric down, I'm laying it down right sides together. And the one fabric that's already been stitched down is held by the static cling from the batting. It's really hard for it to shift because this is 100% bamboo batting, which we've got in stock, you guys. That was also out of stock for a while. I love you guys. I am so excited because one of my colleagues is moving into the area, and she is trained on all of my products. She has taught using all of the Creative Feet products and the Octahoops. So now I can have a co-teacher and we can start doing some events up here in Prescott. You're originally from Montana. I want to go to Yellowstone so bad, especially watching Yellowstone. Are any of you watching the program Yellowstone? If you are, write Yellowstone in the chat. And the more you chat, the better it is from the algorithm as well. YouTube goes, wow, they're really having fun in there, doing a lot of chatting. Clovis, New Mexico, I've been there. And if you're watching me right now and you're noticing that, oh, that's right, I made this bigger than I need. If you're noticing that as I'm sewing, I'm looking there, it's because I'm reading the chat. And I can trust the foot to keep me straight. So often, unless I'm recording, which is almost always when I'm sewing, I'm recording something. Sometimes I just sew for myself, which is how this book got done. And I didn't film it. And then I'll use my computer as a TV and I'll watch TV and sew. And because the foot guides so well is why I can watch something while I sew. Have any of you ever made something with the Satinedge Foot and watched TV while you did it? I stopped going on the road and traveling. I love Yellowstone. I'm actually watching the 1888 and so they have 2 shows showing the Dutton family before the Yellowstone show. So way back in time. I can't remember the oldest one, but I'm enjoying all of them. Good programs. Nice to have some. I mean, it's pretty intense programming, but it is fun, right? So once again, I'm using my presser to press the fabric. And let's see if I can get... I only have one more piece to sew and then we can get to the quilting. See how fast this comes together? Pretty quick. So let's do the top and see if it works. It's working. And this is my CutterPillar under here. The Ultras, which are back in stock. If you've been waiting to order those. Oh, and by the way, we have a coupon running today. It ends tonight at midnight. Be Mine. It's our Valentine's Day sale. So see how nice and flat that presses out? So you don't have to turn on the iron and worry about it warming up every time. 1883 is the furthest one back. I just love it. I got to come up with a piping for this. I already have this ready and I'm like, oh, I was going to use that, but this is really a binding and it doesn't go. So I'm going to have to show you how I make my own piping as well. What a bummer, huh? Haven't used this one yet. Once again, right sides together, and this top one I really probably don't have to sew because the book itself isn't that big. So this is kind of a waste of fabric if I do that. I'm still gonna do it because it'll be easier to quilt it if it's there. It's on Paramount Plus is what they call it, I think. I don't have regular cable. I use YouTube TV as my cable channel. Mostly because I'm a YouTuber and I already pay extra for everything anyway. And on YouTube TV, which is different than just YouTube, I do have Paramount Plus. So that's been exciting. I don't have to pay extra. Zoom, zoom. This is another way that I sew. I plant my finger every 4 inches. Bring the fabric down, make sure it's lined up, come about 4 inches and plant my finger and don't move. Netflix is starting to play it. I don't really sit down and watch a lot of TV, but every once in a while I do, and so I'll burn through a show. And that's how I watched Yellowstone. Each season is just sitting down and, well, not the entire episode, but maybe 2 sessions of just resting, which is something I don't do very often. There we go. Isn't that pretty? And quick. So now, how should I quilt it? I'm going to do a little stitch in a ditch for you. Make sure I don't cut my jacket. Because the quickest and easiest way, if you're new to quilting, is to do the stitching in a ditch. However, you don't even have to stitch in a ditch. because you've already stitched the fabric to the actual batting. And that's when you hear the term quilting. Quilting is taking fabrics and attaching them to batting. Sometimes we have a backing fabric and sometimes we don't. It reminds me of that gum commercial. Is it a gum commercial or is it a candy bar? Sometimes we feel like a nut, sometimes we don't. Oh, I have blue thread on though. This I draw the line on blue thread with orange. They're not complementary colors. So now I have to pick a color. Pick a color of thread. And I love to have you guys choose my colors of thread. Be ready to type because usually you take too long and then I just choose for myself. I knocked over all kinds of stuff over there. I just hope the DOG doesn't go over there. So I'm thinking I've got this really pretty fuchsia. And I'll put it under the light for you guys. And I'm going to try to get that in better focus. Purple. Purple is where you guys are going to want. Can also use that. We could do a little of this. Now we can do a little of this. Ooh, look at that. Or one of you wanted chenille yarn. Let me get some chenille. I've got some. I think it was Lynn that wanted the chenille yarn. Ooh, this one's cool. This one introduces green into it. I'm not sure about that. Also think about what you're going to use this for. I want this to feel good in my hands, so I'm going to go away from this. And I'm going to do what Lynn wanted, which is chenille. Chenille's nice and soft, so it'll feel really good. Now, wouldn't you like to sometimes not have just thread, but also have a yarn? I also need to find a fabric that's going to be the inside of the book, because I don't have any of these other than just jelly rolls. This will be good on the inside. All right. Oh, we could even piece a little bit of part of the inside of the book. Ooh. All right, I'm excited. Write a word with it. Write a word with it on this. I was thinking of keeping this, looking good. You're wanting me to do free motion yarn stitching, which I have never done with the Creative Feet. So you're asking me to try something new on something. We'll see. I may play around on another. Please, please. You're trying to beg. I'm going to use 2 pieces of yarn at the same time and switch. Well, first let me do stitching in a ditch. Oh, I forgot to put the thread on. I'm a little excited. I don't even have thread in the bobbin. So you're part of the VIP group. I can do that in the VIP group. I got to schedule VIP for this month still. VIP Live. This is not VIP Live. This is Fabrically Speaking Live. I'm going to play with the octahoops, of course. Try and stop me from playing with the octahoops. So I'm going to use this. Is that what you guys voted on? Or did you vote? You're being polite. Oh, you're not saying please. You're saying yes, please. Which one? Left or right? Or pink or purple? Type pink or purple. I'll put the fabric back up there again to help you. Which one? And I'm starting to get hungry. Forgot to bring my lunch in here. My shake. None of you are typing. What are you doing? Purple. All right, I'll go with purple because Judy was quick on the quick draw. There we go. All right, threading the machine. I'm using the Polyfast, and the purple that I'm using is 1097. And Polyfast is 40 weight polyester. If you want your stitch to really show when you're doing stitching in a ditch, then a 40 weight is a good option. If you don't want your stitches to show that much because you're nervous about maybe not getting the stitch lined up where you want, then you can go with the 80 weight, which is Deco Bob, or go to the 100 weight, which is even thinner. Bigger the number, thinner the thread. And the Invasifil is so thin, you almost can't see it in comparison. Can you see the lighter one on there? It's right here. So the Invasifil is a forgiving color or forgiving thread. Oh my God, almost everybody wanted pink. Oh well. There we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you the stitching in the ditch on the center one, because it has the ditch on this side and the ditch on that side, and I want to show you that you can achieve both with the same foot. So the guide moves on the Satinedge Foot. I move my needle to the center, bring my needle down so that it's in the ditch, and I should have my glasses on. With the needle in the ditch, and where are my glasses? Oh yeah, I put them in the cubby, so they're right where they belong. So yeah, I need magnifying glasses to see. Now bring the guide over to the needle. So pretend this is the needle, and then I bring the guide over to it. Oh, my fingers are dry. I don't know where my lotion is. All right, so it is set, and let's see if I improved the ability of this camera. Looks kind of in focus. This camera's just not happy. I don't even want to say it, but I left it on. I left this camera on for days. I wanted to get out of the sewing room so bad when I was finished with the last thing I was doing, which wasn't you guys, that I completely forgot to turn it off, which is so bad for the camera. So what's going on here now is the stitch is right in the actual ditch of the fabric. It's hard to see. And I'm using this side of the guide. And instead of trying to look, I'm just making sure that kind of pulling the fabric toward the foot to keep it in the ditch. But very, very light touch on the fabric. And by the way, you guys, I got all this batting, and I got a whole bolt, and we made a whole bunch of kings. And I cut all that batting and not once did it tickle me. So I think this batch of batting will be less fluffy or less flying in the air. If I wrote on there, it would be cute. What should I write on here? See how in the ditch that is? Now I'm going to switch. You think there should be a book on what? I have a book. I have the Creative Feet Technical Guide and Workbook. And I just finished a novel. All right, so needle in the center. Now I move the guide over. And this time the guide's going to be to the right of the needle. First thing you do is bring the needle so that it's right down in the ditch. And then you move the guide over to the needle. And just make sure you didn't bend the needle by turning the hand wheel towards you. And now I'm looking at this side of the guide and making sure that the curb touches it. I don't know what you guys are talking about. If you wrote read on there, it would be cute. You can write whatever you want on yours. I was thinking that though. It would be nice, especially if you read a lot of novels and you get a lot of them that have the same size. It would be kind of nice to slide your novel into one of these. But you're reading. So I'm not pushing down on this fabric at all. Nor am I pulling or pushing through. You don't read in a notebook. Ah, see, she was thinking. So now we have the stitch and ditch here, stitch and ditch here. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch, do something fun. Some yarn, stitching. Switching to the sequins and ribbon foot now. I will play around with stitching, trying it out in the VIP Live. If any of you aren't a member of that, that's where they kind of push me around and get what they want. The sequins and ribbon foot comes with the 1/4 inch guide attached to it. And then we have the accessory guides, which make it so you have all those different size openings, so you can sew a wide variety of different size trims. And this is a really big, fluffy yarn. Let me pull back and switch to the other camera. There you go. I kind of like this thickness though. I think this is, I don't know, a little fluffier than I'd like on there. But I was going to do more than one at a time, so I'm going to use the 1/8 inch accessory guide. I'm going to delete the beginning of the show for the replay. I do that when I make mistakes in the beginning, so people don't go, oh, this show had a problem, I'm not going to watch it at all. So I have a piece of yarn and I want to insert it into the small hole on that. To do so, take a piece of thread and then lay the yarn over it. And then you just bring your little thread ends together. And now the yarn is stuck to the thread. And it really is, because of the furry nature of the yarn, the thread gets stuck in those little furry edges. These fit all sewing machines, no matter how new or old, even industrial sewing machines. As long as you have a zigzag stitch, you can do everything. Now, if you don't have a zigzag stitch on your vintage machine, you can do this with a straight stitch as well. So when I say they fit all machines with a zigzag stitch, they also fit most of the vintage machines as well. You're just limited to what you can do with just a straight stitch, and the fact that you don't have a needle position capability on a straight stitch machine. But because the foot has a guide, it actually will move the trim beneath the actual needle. So this foot and all three of the creative feet have adjustable natures to them. Give your little vintage machine, even if it's a featherweight, a tremendous amount of ability with our feet. So this is just one strand. And if I were making a quilt and I had my fabric on the back, I would not want a zigzag stitch. So since you have a vintage machine, I'm going to sew with a straight stitch so you can see you can just stitch right through the yarn with a straight stitch. And this is me adjusting, instead of the needle, adjusting the trim to the needle. And am I going the wrong way? No, I'm going the right way. I'm just moving the fabric the wrong way. And I don't have my glasses on. We have 20% off until midnight tonight. This is a thin yarn too, so, or narrow. So you have to really make sure you're adjusted right. Did I move my needle? I think I did, because I was doing needle positions with the Satinedge Foot. Am I catching it? Can you guys tell me what I'm doing? So the foot guides, you can get it out of your way so you can see where you're steering. And the reason mine isn't centered is because I used another foot and I was doing needle positions with it. And you can see that now I'm piecing or stitching in a ditch with yarn is great for children. And if you make quilts for people that, what are they called? They're called fidget quilts. This is great to use on fidget quilts. Right? I'm missing it again. Did I move it again? I tend to do things unconsciously. If you have not seen Yellowstone, yeah, you're gonna just be prepared to love it. It's kind of like people get into the Super Bowl and I could care less. I was like, oh, it's the Super Bowl today? Sometimes I have to just be quiet for things to work. I'm not quiet very often. I'm glad you like shopping at creativefeet.com. It's even more fun when we have the 20% off and free shipping over $59 in the United States. And Lynn, I noticed you used the Be Mine coupon instead of using your gift certificate. And you're a wise woman because you can't use your gift certificate with the coupon, right? That's why you did that. Now I gotta fix these areas where I missed it. Like I said, this is a narrow yarn and I'm not looking, I'm too far from it. I've light things in my way, but I can go back over it and stitch it where I missed it. Stitch it where you missed it. Funny, I just had a sound. It sounded like Tinkerbell. I got distracted. I don't know what I was hearing. What's really neat about the Sequins and ribbon foot is that it doesn't stretch the fabric out of shape. It lets you zip around, which is why she wants me to write something. Oh, I missed it again. You're going to make boho cushions? Oh my goodness, Claire. This is why I usually zigzag over this thinner yarn. I'm just going to get I'm going to lean forward. Something I teach you not to do. I'm too far away. So. Yeah, I should have been wearing these. All right, let's do this. Just a couple spots, right? But my elbows are down as I'm doing this. So when your yarn is really thin, it's a good idea to use a zigzag stitch because it gets stuck in the stitch. I'm going to do one with a zigzag stitch after this. Actually, I want to do 2 yarns at the same time. There's no way I'm not going to make sure everything's right, because I'm turning this into a book cover today with you live. I just keep missing some of these spots. There's going to be so many stitches on this. I also have light shining on me, which makes the pupil close. All right, let's cut there. Hi, Eve from Northern California. Which part of Northern California? I used to go up to Carmel a lot and Monterey. And there's nothing like spending some time in the redwoods. I went to this little motel and the first time I didn't even know it existed. I struggle at remembering the name of this little town. But when I woke up, I arrived in the dark, and when I woke up, I looked out my window and there was literally a fawn and a bunny, and the lights or the sun was shining through the redwoods. And the soil is rich and red, and there's bark everywhere, and the gigantic redwood trees. And it was like it was like I was in Bambi. It was so pretty. All right, so choose a little bit wider yarn if you just have a straight stitch machine, so you don't struggle. But it adds a nice touch to have that contrast, and I didn't get any puckers as a result of that, even though I stitched so many times. Let's see. I feel like it's boring to use the same thing now. Let's do a little of this one. This is my Sequins and ribbon foot, and it is a fun foot. And any yarn that you find at your yarn shop can be used as a trim to stitch down. This would be really neat to incorporate as the bookmark, because like I sewed ribbon on this one. So I think I'm going to tie a knot on this so I don't forget. I could put a bead on the end too. And this is basically just a company that buys a bunch of complementary yarns and they put them together and they make balls out of it and they sell it. And they charge a lot more, but they're doing the labor of finding it for you. Oh, I didn't catch them all. Oh, this is where it is. I hate to waste it, but all my good scissors are on the floor. There we go. So this is a good size. And I think I'm going to actually, to make it even easier on myself, to not have these get messed up, is I'm going to tie a knot here. And that will help me not have to go through untwisting them later. I kind of like having one a little bit longer than the other as well. Whoop. Hold it tight so they don't start slipping. Hi, Chase. Chase boys come in to say hi, everybody. Do you want to say hi? Did I say something that made you think I called you? Come here, baby. Come on. You get up here. Come on. You're getting lazy. You're getting too old. Oh, come here. Let's see. There's a lot of new people on here that don't know how cute you are. There he is. Go on. Okay. So now I have my bookmark ready to be incorporated into the book. Of course, you could also plan and make a really cool one, you know, and incorporate it. And now I'm going to use some of that so it won't just be on the bookmark, it'll actually be on the book. Where's the yarn is like everywhere. So once again, show you how we use the foot. It has a little guide in here. And now this is 4 or 5 different yarns. Some are so thin. You just have that little element, and the rest is thread basically. So if I group all of these together and make sure they're coming off straight before I insert it into the guide, then I can use a decorative stitch and stitch all of those down at the same time. And got to determine which guide you want to put them in. And I think this guide will be fine. But for instance, this one would be way too big. And then I would switch to the 1/4 inch guide instead. All right, here we go. How do we get this into that little opening? You take a piece of thread, which I usually have a piece laying around. Ah. And then you just crisscross the yarn on a piece of thread. It's a lot easier when your yarns aren't 4 strands. And then take the 2 ends together. Yes, I could braid it. I could have macrameed. I know how to macrame. I don't knit, but I macrame. Then I'm going to take these through that a little bit larger opening this time. And it's not that I wouldn't like to knit. I'd like to be able to knit. It's got to be something that I don't do. With a thread cradle. This is another thing that I've done with the Sequins and ribbon foot is insert rickrack into the seam, and I did this with the double needle. So this is I was gonna consider doing this inside of the book cover, having this kind of an element for the part that where the cover goes in. What do you guys think? If you want me to do that on the inside, say rickrack in the chat. All right, here we go. I'm going to go down, choose which one I'm going to use this on. And just in case I've made this considerably bigger than the book that's going to go in it, I'm going to keep this on the inside because I don't want to waste any of this yarn. This stuff is not cheap. And a good stitch for this is a stitch that would do several stitches left and right, because otherwise we might miss one of those. I have a stitch on my machine, and this is the Baby Lock Crescendo machine. If you're not familiar with it because it's painted and you're thinking this must be some different machine, it's just the Baby Lock Crescendo, and I paint my sewing machines. So I'm going to choose the stitch. There's a stitch called the couching stitch, and I think that's the one I'm looking for here. I would show you, but I can't, okay. It's 2-09, and it's called the couching stitch. I remember wondering what one of the stitches was called and I kept using it at shows, and finally a Baby Lock representative came up and I said, "What is the name of this stitch?" And she takes my finger and she puts it on the machine where it says the name of the stitch. It made me feel very silly. Rick Rack. And Rick Rack is R-I-C-R-A-C, no K. But that's fine. Okay, so I have the correct stitch on, and now I'm going to test the stitch. And this is something, if you want to do this, you could do it on a quilt, but you want to do it without the backing, because the back of the quilt will have this stitch, and I need to move it over because it's not catching. And I'm going to go a little wider. This is when you realize how fun it is to have decorative stitches. When you start incorporating different cords or trims together like this. There we go. I won't have to restitch this. And I'm not pushing, but I am kind of smoothing out, and I don't think I really need to. Just need to put my glasses on. What you want to do is you want to look in the front and line up something so that you're steering straight. Oh, is it you that did it, Amy? Oh God, it's so nice to have you do something wrong. Amy's right about everything usually, you guys, those of you who are new. All right. I gotta stop reading the chat. This is not the Satinedge Foot. So I'm not pushing. I'm just like cradling the fabric. We haven't seen, hi Ellen. Oh, Rick oh, you wrote it. Sorry. That's all right, you guys. Is Carlene in here today? I haven't seen her. So nice to see you guys coming in. I don't use the Sequins or ribbon foot enough on the show, so I'm really excited to use it. Got some batting in my mouth. You made a stitch book for you bringing a 770? Yeah. And now you can use those stitches with trim. Add to your book. All right, so this is all, you know, using the feed dogs. And you can see having all those different elements in there adds a nice interest to it. There's no way this is coming away from the batting. I'm going to mute and tell the dog to go outside. Hold on. He was disobedient. Usually he does what I say. Okay, so now what to do? We've got a single layer of yarn. We got multiple layers. Haven't done any free motion quilting yet, and you would want to do your free motion quilting before you initiate putting down heavy items that your needle could break on. And since I haven't done any free motion, I want to do some of that. It's not hard at all with the octi hoops. So these are the octi hoops, and the batting is everywhere right now. I'm going to use the two smaller frames, place one beneath, and there are a lot of videos on my channel where I show the octi hoops as well. I have the sequins and ribbon foot on, but I don't want to try it with this fabric because I like what I'm making. I'm going to try something just for Brenda. Ugh. Everything's going to start falling. Here we go. Here's a goof around thing to play on that I'll try it on. And this will be my first time really giving this a try, which is I'm going to try to sew yarn down with the sequins and ribbon foot with the octi hoops using free motion. So what free motion is when you don't have feed dog integration. Well, if I have a foot on, the foot comes down on the machine. Generally, you cannot do any free motion with a foot that doesn't have the feeding mechanism built into it. So, but I know there's a gentleman out there that said he's been doing this, so he can do it, I can do it, right? You did that on one page using the, you did. Okay, so I'm going to take and place this beneath, and I'm going to lower my feed dogs because there's no way you can do this without lowering your feed dogs. And this is not what I designed this foot for. So it should not, you should not be able to do this. Which doesn't mean anything, because my feet are always amazing me. That sounds funny. If you don't know, I'm talking about sewing machine feet. My feet amaze me. I'm getting wacky. I got to bring my lunch in here at some point. We'll try this yarn. I wanted to play with it anyway. And this is about the thickness of yarn that they generally will have you use anyway. So one of the things I feel that will be needed is to get the yarn to come down in front of the needle straight. So I'm going to take one of my clip-it clips and hook it onto my light. And I'm going to bring the yarn through there, and that'll have it go down. Look, another use for the clip-it clips. They're so much bigger than other clips. But like if you had something else on your machine that you could do, you could tape a popsicle stick to the machine and have it stick out ahead and then clip it onto there. Or you can tape a plastic straw onto your machine to get the yarn to be positioned right in front of the needle. I just happen to have this light, so I'm going to use it. And just as before, I have to get the yarn through the hole. Oh. So on this side, it has a relatively large hole there. Is that what I want? Yeah, so now I'm going to attach that to the light. And now it's holding it up. And you want to make sure your thread doesn't enter the actual threading area of your sewing machine where your thread goes. So that's why having a straw or something to prevent that from happening out here would be good. Now I'm going to take the yarn and go through the, because it's thicker, through the larger of the two openings by taking a piece of thread, laying it down, and then grab the two ends. By the way, you should be able to see the products that I'm using inside YouTube beneath the video in my merch shop area. So we go ahead and slide it in like that. But you can visit creativefeet.com as well. And just go ahead and pull it through. All right, so we'll see how the first time, and I don't like doing this type of stuff first time live, but I do love giving you guys what you want, what you ask for. Now to know for sure that I'm not going to hit that frame, I'm going to take and put this frame beneath it. And now I know for sure I'm not going to strike this bottom frame. And to use the octaves, what you do is you bring the corner of one into the corner of the other, and then it allows you to move your quilt around. To make it even easier, you insert this little handle and you can actually draw. So I'm going to get to where I'm on the fabric. I'm not going to give myself even more of a challenge. What do you guys think? How about let's bet. Let's bet on this. Is it going to work or is it not going to work? How many of you think it's going to work? Vote before I start. I lower the foot. If you don't, you have no tension on your thread. Elbows down, shoulders relaxed. I gotta find my pillow. My pillow to put my elbow on. Glasses. I feel like I got Amy going, hey, get your glasses, get your pillow. It's not so funny. You can't start sewing until you have your pillow. Oh my goodness. All right, so I have a decorative stitch on. Let's try it with just a straight stitch. For those of you who have vintage machines, why did it not switch? See, this is where I feel like it's going to have trouble going left and right. So maybe we can stitch it straight. What did you want me to write? Read? It's not going to work with a straight stitch, so let's see. Although I'm not really giving it much of a try, am I? Yeah, because it wants to move. It wants to move this way because it's flexible. Yarn is squishy, so maybe I need to go into the smaller hole. But even if I went through the smaller hole, so I have to think it through. How did this guy do it? That's what I want to know. How did he accomplish this? He was very clear that he was using it for that. See, because I go left to right. Now I'm missing it. This is why I have not taught this, because I know after designing the Glennon machine that this is not. Oh. Let's try this. Well, that's probably not going to work. See, this is not a, fabrically speaking, live thing to do, because people will get bored when they watch it on the replay. So you could do straight, but not left and right, and not front and back. So you could use it, but you can only come from the back and work your way forward. So you would have to steer it, and then you may as well use the foot with the feed dogs. I say you get yours out and try it a little bit more. So what we really want to do is we want to come down even closer to that. I'm going to try one more thing. You got me curious. So now I'm skipping. No, that's not. Skipping the actual. I feel like I'm going to break a needle. I don't like breaking needles. But that's not good. So it needs to get really close to the needle. I could probably do it if I hold it. But what's the purpose of that? See? No. I don't know how that guy did it. Maybe he only used it for straight coming front to back, or back to front, because that was definitely easy. That was really easy, actually. It's all right, Brenda. You aren't forcing me to do it. So let's have some fun on the other quilt now. Now that we've tried it, I don't want anyone thinking I'm avoiding the challenge. I like being challenged. You guys want me to come up with something for that? Really? Does it mean that much to you to have that ability? So what I'm going to do now is remove the foot and the snap-on adapter as well. And I'm not going to put a foot on because one of the neat things about the octaves is you don't need a foot at all to use them. All right, if you want me to try that, I'll do a little of that, Eve. I've done all kinds of things with the octaves, with the free motion. You can add sequins down in just an individual sequin. But I want to do something cute because I'm going to keep this. I'm actually going to use this for myself. We've already done some yarn. I'm going to do that heart thing. Got to remember how to do it. I think I work better this direction. Yeah, you could liquid base the yarn down and go through all that, or you can just use the sequins and ribbon foot and write over a line. You don't need to. You can write with the sequins and ribbon foot. I wrote Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays in script using it. All right, so how do we do the heart? I go up, da-da, da-da, and up, da-da. That's what I do. All right. Yes, you can. The liquid base is what I use to hold the sequins down too. Drop the foot even though you don't have one on. Straight stitch, Claire. Bring your bobbin thread up. We do have links, yes, in the description below, but we also have the merch now below the video. Now that we have so many people watching, YouTube gave me that as an option. So we are starting to get more benefits. Whoopsie. This is me with shoes on. I'm also starting on the end and it didn't cut my threads. It's one of the reasons you want to snip your thread. Got to get my elbow in there. Elbow pad. Elbows down, shoulders relaxed. All right, let's give this a try now. All right, here we go. Come down. Go like that. And then we come around. So it's kind of a heart, and I just got everything stuck. I'm not good at this. I should have practiced this first. Isn't that nice for me to say I'm not good at something? So let's just not think of them as hearts. I'm doing... Let's think of them as hearts. Heart. Sliding the hoop, scooting it over as I progress across. Definitely practice things like this before you go on your project. Yeah, I should just not go all the way to the end. Oh well. Everything I make can't be perfect. It's not Valentine's Day. I don't have to do hearts. I can do whatever that looks like to you. I'm not going to say what it looks like to me. Got all these threads everywhere, distracting me. And I'm reading the chat. Should not be reading the chat while doing free motion. Elbows down, shoulders relax, slide it over. Elbows down, shoulders relax. We're doing not hearts. We're doing Claire tried a heart and didn't do a heart, and now I keep doing the mistake, and then it doesn't look like a mistake when you're done. If you go and you keep trying to make a heart after you failed at doing a heart, it'll look like you made a mistake. No one's going to know that I didn't plan this interesting little shape. There's the dog. We got new neighbors and there's children and he just wants to go out there and play with them so bad. You use liquid based on just about everything? How many of you do? It's so hard not to use it when you know you have it. Sliding over. Free motion is more fun when I don't have lines that I have to stay within. For me, anyway. So here I am at the very end. And this one I usually turn it this way. But I'll be cutting this off anyway. We're making this into a notebook after all, if I don't go too long. The whole point of this day was to make the notebook. So I think I'm gonna stop doing the quilting stuff. And save that for another day. My shoe is making it so hard to sew. I feel like I should have a little jingle for the liquid base glue. Liquid base, liquid base. All right, so this is enough to have on a notebook. Now we're gonna actually construct it, and I'm gonna make some piping to go around because that's how I want to finish this one. Oh, to declutter now. Oh, I was gonna do this. What time is it? I never got my lunch out of the fridge. It's 3:36. So what you see here are the two books, and this one. See how the sleeve is kind of curvy? And that happens. So it's good to not cut it perfectly straight. It has something to do with the book being inside that makes this not be straight. Because I even got a little of that happening on this one. And this one, you can see I have 2 rows of stitching going down. And this was perfectly straight. So something about the book being in there makes it end up not being straight. So how would we overcome that? We would actually cut this on a curve, but have it be curving out in this direction. I'm not sure why that happens. But what you see here, take the book out, is that back here you don't see any stitching. And in here, if you pull this out, you can actually turn the entire thing right side out from this. So this section here is not attached to anything. And it allows us to turn the book right side out, which means that you can go all the way. Let me pull this camera back top, just top. So having a tube in there allows me to turn the whole book right side out, which means I can go all the way around. So you could do anything you want on the outer edge of your book. You could put beads on the outside or cord or anything that you like on the outside of that and go all the way around and then turn it right side out and not have to have a little section that you leave unsewn and then you have to sew it back up. This one I didn't do that. This one I left a little pocket and had to turn it all out, and I didn't like having that on the one end. So this is why I did it before I went live, so that I could figure out a better way. And I had too much yarn here. Don't let your yarn get like this. Unless you have Amy around to clean it up. All right. I like giving you variety. Now you could do this on the inside, and I was going to show the rickrack. There's just so much. I threw it on the floor. Yes, I did. Now I have a bunch of these drawing pads, and I have a bunch of these writing pads. But I was thinking about using it for a novel so that when I read another novel, I have a book just for reading. But this is so much bigger than a novel, so it doesn't really seem like I'd be losing that much. I don't know. I think I'm going to make it one of my writing pads instead. Like it matters. It doesn't matter. I want to cut less fabric off. What clutter? It's because the thing I have that organizes me over here is on the floor. I tipped it. I knocked a bunch of things off the table today. You'll have to rewatch. The hubby came in. Hello, hubby. All right, let's see. So this is the boring fabric. The part that's the tube part. Got to decide how big this is going to be. I don't have my organizer. Okay. Could probably use this for a big notepad. This is also good if you quilt and you don't do a good job and you don't want anyone to see the back of your stitching. You can cover it up. Got my paper scissors. Dropping everything. So this isn't very big. I thought this was a large piece. Is this going to be big enough? So that decides this for me. This gives me a 1/4 inch on both sides, which is what you need in order to sew this to the other. And let's just make this the right size for the book, and I can use this as a pattern to cut the other. Put these away. You open the book and you want it to be flat, so you know, and you kind of pull out the the two sides so that you know you have the full width of the book. And you want to trace around it. God, this batting. Ah. Yes, you can piece it. You can do whatever you want. Isn't it lovely? And you can paint it. All I can tell you is the new batting does not do this to me. So I'm making this as a pattern piece. So I know how big the overall book is going to be. Could do a better job if I just use my cutter, remove the stuff from behind. All right, so that's not a very good one. Switch cameras. So what I'm trying to explain to you is that this piece now is the full size of the book cover, so that I have a 1/4 inch going all the way around for a seam allowance. But I'm not going to have this piece on the back side be that size. I'm going to stitch it down and stitch it down so that when it's inside, it's a tube and allows me to turn it right side out. But for now, I'm going to use this to know how big to make my book cover. And I know I got all this extra fabric. I didn't need to make it so big. Make sure nothing, I don't want to get my other books I already finished. Another thing is to decide what you want for your bookmark. And I already made mine, didn't I? What did I do with it? So I got my bookmark that I made, and it could braid it, could have done all kinds of things with it. I kind of like the way it looks when it's like that. So I just tied a knot, and I can add beads to the ends. It's good to center this in the center of the book. So we want to have this ready to insert. I know I had my rotary cutter. Here it is. So I'm looking at this going, all right, I want to like have it be the same distance. Well, if I do it like that, I didn't need to sew that or that. I could actually use the pieces I'm going to cut off for the inside of the book too. So now thinking of that, I'm going to go, okay, so it's about a 1/2 inch in from the edge here. So I can move this out. Trying to be straight. This is one time lighting up the CutterPillar isn't going to help because it's too thick. Oh, this is a dirty ruler. I used it for something other than sewing. What didn't I do? I didn't allow for the spine. And she's right, because when I close it, it's going to go and pull. So this is the tube, and you're so right. Thank you for saving me, Amy. Thank you, thank you. So I'm going to add for the spine, and what you do is you add the amount of the spine would be to the end. And she knows that because we already did this in the VIP live recently. So you take your measuring tape, and you go like this and measure how big is the spine. I need to add 2 inches to the size of the book cover. Not to this, but to the size of the book cover. And I'm just gonna probably cut a little bit wider on both sides too. Just cause. So let's, oh, I really got to get a cleaner ruler. Where's my cleaner ruler? How many rulers do you guys have? So find a line of reference on the board. There's a line of reference. Come out. It's a big spine on these art pads. This is my last chance to really kind of make this straight as possible. There we go. And I'm going to, as I said, go wider than that because it's thicker fabric and you have the batting. Sometimes it is a little bit harder to sew straight. Way too many what? Too many. Oh, rulers. Really? I don't feel that way about it. I feel like I have a lot, but I could always get more. Speaking of the rulers, the piping rulers, something that I'll be using for this. And we're sold out of them right now, but I have one that is not in the wrapper. So if any of you did not get the ruler, all it is just not in a wrapper. And then you don't have to wait till the end of the month. But the manufacturer said she's hoping to have them by the end of the month. So now this is the book cover. Won't that be nice? I like it. We could do some more straight stitching on there. Could have done some diagonal stitching. Could really have some fun with it, but not in the time I have left. This is my chance to double check that row, and I didn't get it. So I'm going to fix that right now. I'm going to do it free motion with the octi hoops. Let's switch to the close. Because I don't want to have to put the foot on. So just to fix that. Which one of you said that? You could just lay the yarn down and do with the octi hoops free motion. So now she's being proven correct. Lower the foot even though there isn't a foot. You can see where I've missed it. So much easier to see without a foot. Coming from the inventor of the creative feet. So much easier to not see or to not have a foot in your way. It was you, Brenda? I feel like it wasn't you. Funny. How can I even think that when I'm not able to look at the chat for very long? Oh, wow, I really didn't have it. This must have been the farther away from me. So free motion without a foot, hands down the easiest way to see. And I'm going to double check again just to make sure, because this is going to be my book cover. Oh, another spot. Use thicker yarn or use a zigzag stitch, then it doesn't matter. The only reason I had trouble is because this is a really skinny yarn and it was a straight stitch. This yarn's also so old, it may be partially rotting. So that's the spot I'm trying to get to. Elbows down, shoulders relax, and I'm stitching over. And I don't have my glasses on. Where are they? Yeah, more than one of you. Sometimes, you know, sometimes I'm just not very accurate. Why having a zigzag stitch is so nice. There's another spot. Oh, definitely should use a zigzag stitch. So I could actually pretend that I have a zigzag stitch too right now and move the hoop in a zigzag movement. So there's, instead of trying to do a straight stitch, and that will ensure that it is stitched down. So what I'm doing is moving the hoop a little bit with this handle. Sorry, my head in the way. So I'm zigzagging without a zigzag stitch, just using a straight stitch. Elbows down, shoulders relaxed. And I say that a lot because I'm reminding myself, because it's really easy to forget that your elbows are up, you know? Wow, it's really just, that was a big fail. It's also easier to see if it's coming toward you, whether or not you're on it. But you know, this yarn, I should have known better, because this yarn is kind of it's hairy, so it's really skinny. It's like one thread, and then there's these fuzzies sticking out. Can't see, camera is not on the machine. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. My goodness. I've had better days. You know what it is? I need to have my lunch. Brain doesn't function as well. So I will be right back, because there is no sense in me trying to pretend that I'm not hungry. I'll give you something fun to look at. And I already have it made in the refrigerator, so just forgot to grab him. 2 o'clock snuck up on me. What happened? So you guys can tell the new people what is on the table. And I'm not going to play that music because Facebook keeps saying I don't have the right to use it. So I'll be right back. I'm back. Got my shake and my vitamin drink. My shake and my vitamin drink. Repeating myself. And front. Hello, everybody. This is one of the projects I did on the Fabrically Speaking live show. If you want to make these cup cozies, this is going to be a pattern, but the video is already on the Fabrically Speaking live playlist. So I thought it'd be nice to use it on the show today. All right. The next part is sewing this together. And I think I'm going to utilize, I should, don't you think? Don't you think I should utilize these for the inside? It's already quilted. It matches. Tell me what you think. Should I use it? Should I use this for the inside flap? So the piece that I cut is going to cover up this. This is the tube that allows you to turn everything right side out afterward. And I just need to stitch this down because it really doesn't matter. It's going to be hidden. No one's going to see it, but we don't want it to fray. I'm going to use the Satinedge Foot to do that. And I was going to show double needle work with the Satinedge Foot. So on the flaps, I was going to stitch using a double needle and sew down so that on the inside it looks like that. Well, of course I should use this. Look at that. That's going to be nice. All right. I got enough. Definitely enough for both sides of the book to have this as the flap. I kind of like that look where it kind of looks like binding. It's kind of a cheat way of doing binding. All right, step 1, fold your edges under of the tube that's going to be the backing. Switch cameras. Now when I use the octa-hoops, I didn't use a foot. So I'm going to put my machine snap-on adapter back on. Anything I make will be lovely. You're so lovely. I have some things I've made that I was embarrassed by. That's why I did the book without you watching, because I was like, I don't want to mess up live. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to do it not live. The Satinedge Foot has a little wire inside of the guide, and you turn that and move it, and however far away the guide is from the needle is how far your stitching line will be away from the folded under fabric. Now I could try really hard, and I could actually press this, and one of the cheater ways of pressing is if you have a cardboard piece that's big enough, you can just fold it over like that. And you could use your iron, but you could also just use one of my pressers. And look at how nice and clean that folds over with the cardboard in there. You don't have what things? I'm just going to wing this because this is going to be completely hidden. And then you can also glue this down using the liquid-based glue so it doesn't move on you. Satinedge, where are you? I was going to use a double needle. I could do that now. I said I was going to show the double needle. Do you guys want to see it bad enough for me to slow down and take that time? Or I changed the editing of the description of this video. I'll show you. You can do 2 rows of stitches equally spaced apart as if you did a double needle. But also, if I had a double needle on right now, this foot would guide for a perfect double needle stitch. Thumbs up, please. Thumbs up, please. Does that mean you want a double needle? I'll do this side without a double needle, and then the other side with it. So this foot gives me a perfect edge stitch every time, as long as I don't try steering it. If I want to get the needle and the guide farther apart for 2 rows of stitching, move the guide further over and select a left needle position. And now the foot is going to guide for another row of stitching. Got a little bit of fuzz. Oh, that's liquid based. You guys saying yes to each other or yes to me? Can you see how perfect that stitching is? The colors are too close to each other. And then inside it's folded over. So I'll do the same thing on this side. If this were the flaps, I would be taking more care, but I'm going to do the flap a completely different way now. What are you doing? Like I braided my threads together. Okay, so I have it folded nicely. Now there's a no. Yes and no and 2. Your machine is quiet. You know what? My microphone is special. And my microphone is 1.5 feet, almost 2 feet above me. So it's got distance between it. That's why. It is quiet, but it's not as quiet as it comes off on the film. It's a special microphone so that you guys can hear me talk instead of me being drowned out. I did recently get asked if you could use the Satinedge with a double needle, so I wanted to show that today. And now I need another thread. And I had another color chosen to try with this, and I didn't use it. Did I keep it out? Yeah. So I'll have 1 fuchsia. Trying to sip my shake as I talk to you guys, or in between. So when I get quiet, that's what I'm doing. Now, one of the reasons I came up with the thread dispenser was because of the double needle. I would demonstrate at shows and I'd switch to the double needle and one thread would constantly break. And it became super frustrating because people would think that there was something wrong with the feet. And I knew there was nothing wrong with the feet, you know. So I went to sleep one night, and this is how I invented several of my products, in my sleep. And in my sleep, I designed the thread dispenser. And what it does is it gives you 2 threads that can go up at the exact same speed. Because what happens with just about every sewing machine out there, no matter how much you spent, there's no way to take both threads to the tension at exactly the same speed. So one will start to slow down and then it tangles up, and that's what causes your thread to break. So on the thread dispenser, we have the dual cone feature, 2 posts, and the thread comes up from the post and goes through an eye hook. There we go. I got really short arms and a bunch of equipment. This is my bad arm. I had it broke really bad. It's too short. I lost 1.5 inches on my arm. And they cut through the muscles, so this hand doesn't work right. I'm not trying to get pity. Just letting you know why sometimes this hand doesn't work right. So I'm taking it through, and what I normally would do is actually remove the thread from the needle if there's one in the machine already, so that you can know for sure that both threads are feeding at the exact same speed, and put your finger down on both of them as you run the thread through the thread guides. Now, after I go all the way through to the very end, I'll switch cameras so you can see. Now we have two, and it doesn't matter which one you separate, which one you have go through the last guide and which one you don't. But this is the only place you separate, right at that very last spot. So one thread goes behind the last thread guide and the other just goes straight to the needle. And you cannot use your needle threader. But I do, and I'm so sorry I haven't got these on our site yet. This is a handheld needle threader that makes it easier. So we take and put the needle threader through, and I forgot to put the double needle on. Ah, how silly. The entire website is on sale. You use the coupon at the end of your order, and it's Be Mine for Valentine's Day, all uppercase. Now we go through. So this threader works best if you use your left hand. And I have trouble seeing. My head's getting in the way. So the one that goes through the guide is the one that goes to the left needle. And now I'm going to take the right needle. And this one just goes right to the threader, so not through that guide. Whoops. Oh no, my shake. Oh my God. Chase. 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 I'm going to feed my dog my shake, you guys. Should I do that? How embarrassing. Oh, I did things I don't normally do. I never have my drink over here. I always have them over here. And it knocked over and opened and spilled all over. So there goes my lunch. I probably shouldn't let him drink it all. Intermission. All right, don't do it all, Chase. You don't want to get, we don't want you to have too much of that. All right, no more. Stop. Chase. Stop. Chase, go. Chase, stop. He's like, don't make me stop. Chase, stop. This is full of vegetables, so we could have a real messy dog later on. Chase, please. Be a good boy. All right, let me clean it up. No. Go on. He's like, you called me here to eat it, and then you're not letting me have it? I just picture a really messy night if I'm not careful. It's very healthy, though. This is Dr. Gundry shake. He's like, what are you gonna do with it? You're just gonna, you're gonna pick it up. Oh my God, he looks like he knows. Why would you do that, Mommy? Why wouldn't you just let me eat it? Oh, it went places. Ugh, what a mess. All right, well, this has never happened on my show before. I have a race. Oh my goodness. What is that? Sticky keys? No, I don't want to turn on sticky keys. What is that? Why did that come up? Well, he's getting it all. Chase puppy. All right, you're good. That's good. No more. No more. How embarrassing. I got messy. I'm really getting into my work. Ugh. Never do things out of character. But see, I knocked over a bunch of stuff already today. So back to the double needle. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Sheila. Hello, everybody. If I didn't say hi to you, it's just because I couldn't see the chat. And that's the first time I've ever spilled my lunch. Well, I guess I don't get lunch. So I have the 2 threads through the needle, and now we're going to actually sew. And what you have to watch out for whenever you use a double needle is before you even put the foot on. You want to make sure the needle's going to clear your throat plate. So if I start with a center needle position, and then you can pretty much recommend you keep your needle in the center needle position on a double needle. But I break the rules. I'm always breaking rules now and then. So you can see the opening, and you can bring that needle over a little bit that way. But you also have the limitation of the opening of the foot to be concerned with. So put the foot on, and actually center is perfect. No, it didn't get on any fabric, thank goodness. But it did get on the front of my drawers under there. Now I'd have to make sure that the foot is not going to hit the guide pin on the foot. And it's clear of it. So here we go. Now I'm going to, in one row of stitching, I'm going to accomplish this. Is one of them pulling? What's pulling? One of the threads is pulling. Why? Because I dropped my food, because it's that kind of day. What is happening? Is that the bobbin too tight? It's pretty much interesting. It's actually making me think of another technique. Look at that. It can almost do a rolled hem, and the bobbin thread just disappears. This is kind of how I came up with some of my techniques, by the way, by accident. And then you go, oh, there, look at that, another technique. If I can just duplicate that, and then what I have done is use a double needle to create a rolled hem. I'm gonna have to try this before I change the machine settings, because this could be really cool, you guys, because a lot of people can't do the rolled hem foot. Oh, I think you guys are so patient to watch me when I fumble. So the bobbin thread was pulling so tight, and the 2 needles share one bobbin, so it actually rolled the fabric over, and that normally does not happen. So I'm going to see, I haven't taken the bobbin out, see if I can get that to happen intentionally. This is how new techniques are born. Ooh, look at that. My lights are flickering. Look at that, a rolled hem without a rolled hem foot. Do you see that? It's a rolled hem. It's a perfect little rolled hem. So now I don't know why my bobbin tension is so tight, but it is really tight. That's what's causing that. This fabric just so cheap that this is really old fabric. I know you guys fumble. I taught for years. I think I just had it too close to the edge. That was interesting. I know how to use a rolled hem foot. I'd rather use a rolled hem foot. So spray starch on the fabric. Also, I had the needle like on the edge. Same fabric. Everything's fine. I didn't change the tension. I didn't remove the bobbin. Everything's fine. So. Oh, but I did lose one of the threads. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm enough with that. I've had too many fumbles today. Too many flags on the field. Okay, so we've got the fabric stitched, folded under. This is the tube that enables us to go all the way around. I don't know. What time is it? 4:19. I was going to do piping all the way around. See, I hate disappointing you. If you all go, I don't mind if you don't have piping. This is the actual book cover. Now I'm going to put right sides together and I cut the book bigger this way. So that's why it has a little bit of a 1/4 of an inch space on both sides. And then you take your intentional bookmark, and you need to have the bookmark be tucked in into that little area and have it stick out on the top, and you want to make sure it's in the center. Take it over. How many ways can Claire mess up in one day? Oh my gosh. Well, Tina, I dropped my lunch and it's a shake. So Chase had some of it, a good amount of it. And the other thing is these are your end flaps. And the end flaps are going to need to be over the tube. So they need to be beneath the tube when you're putting it together. And I haven't stitched those ends under, and those are the ones that are going to really matter, because that's what you're going to see on the inside of the book. So I'm going to go ahead and use, it would be good to have it backed. Oh, they're just for me. Switch to a regular needle. We're going to do piping another day, you guys. Thankfully, the lid that I had on it stopped it from just going everywhere, or it would have been all over me. Wouldn't that have been funny? A comedy. It would have been a comedy. I'm going to use the pink thread for the rest of this. You've seen me through much bigger challenges than this. I'm trying to remember the worst challenges. Let's not even think about it, because for the most part, you know, everything would have been fine if I didn't try to rearrange something today. And if God gave me a smaller behind, I wouldn't have knocked over some stuff. So I'm doing a double roll over, and this is quilted. So it's going to be really thick. It's going to sound really loud. I'm using a 9014 super universal needle. Of course I am. Now, to get the foot to behave well, because with all that thickness under there, the foot wants to tip. And you take some fabric with batting and the same amount of roll over. 1, 2. And we're going to lift the foot and slide this under so that it supports the arm of the foot, because the arm of the foot has to support that screw assembly, so it's heavy. It's like it's carrying a heavy load. I call this a crutch, not a crunch. Oh my goodness. At least I have really good, yes. It's so nice to not have me sounding funny, huh? So sorry you guys had to endure some of those. I feel like taking some of those videos down, and because the audio was so bad. You guys didn't let me know, and I didn't find out till after. Using the glue would keep this straight. So I'm going to move my needle all the way over to the left for the first row. And what I'm doing is pushing toward the foot so that it keeps me sewing straight. This foot was designed for a blind and deaf sewer. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Excuse me. I need a new cutter. It actually looks like piping. Excuse me. I'm gonna mute for a second. I want to make sure I don't miss it. This is when I sit there and go, you should have just glued it, Claire. If you glued it, you wouldn't have any problem. Now I'm going to move my needle over to the right. And this is the area that I didn't get stitched in there. Of course, I didn't even have a straight cut. Push toward the foot. Another really neat use for these tweezers is to kind of tuck things under. Instead of fumbling, I'm going to put my liquid base there to hold it. Thank you for being so excited, Eve. I left the lid off too long. The liquid base glue is your buddy. Don't avoid it. I would have been fine, but before the show, I ended up having my left eye watering, and it's just been an interesting day. I think I need to dedicate some time to sleep. Remember, today is February 16th of 2023, and our Be Mine coupon code ends at midnight tonight. You want 20% off your entire order plus free shipping over $59 in your order. Order today before midnight, Arizona time. You see how nice that looks? So that's what it's going to be on the outside. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And this time I'm gluing it. And this is the inside of the flap, so nobody's really going to see it. It's mine. I'm thinking this will be the back side of the book, so I won't even see it. But I would normally line this, not have batting here. This is the first for me. I have it plugged up a little bit. I need to put a pin in it. There we go. Slide it across. I'm going to tuck it under and then bring it over. There we go. Guide all the way over, left needle position. With the glue, no problem. And I didn't wait for it to dry. You don't have to a lot of the times. Sometimes you should, like if you're going to make piping on a pillow. Now I'm going to do the second row by simply moving the needle to the right. I was really hungry though when that shake fell. I got a few sips. Remember, I'm not pushing or pulling the fabric here. I'm pushing toward the foot. That's what gives you the accuracy that you long for. That perfect double row stitching. All right, back to the top. This is one of the days when you feel like having somebody come over and cook for you. Don't put the glue too far away. Probably going to want to use it. I just have to think about how big these need to be. May as well just cut it in half. Oh, that's right. It's quiet unless I'm talking. It got too quiet for me. So I just folded it in half and sliced it. Now we have two, and this is going to be stitched like this. And then when we turn it right side out, that's those 2 rows of stitching is what's going to be sticking out, and this will be tucked inside. So I'm just confirming, just reassuring myself that that is what's going to take place. And it's like, do I need that big of a flap? It's time to size these. Do that with this. This is piecemealing, you guys. A lot of patterns are designed like this. Kind of like draping a dress onto a mannequin. And then when it's all over, it's like, where'd you get the pattern? There isn't one. I just kind of chopped it here and chopped it there. Now I'm going to make them both straight. I'm going to chop off that yarn. There we go. Now it looks like I planned it. Now to assemble, and we're almost done. It would be wise to have marked the center. So that's my bookmark. This doesn't really have to be that precise, but I'm going to do it anyway. Before you do that, you put in your ends, because they need to be, they're going to be right side like that. And it is easier when you're working with thick stuff like this to have the smaller piece on top and to stitch around it and then cut the excess away. There we go. And what's really neat about this, I'll be able to go all the way around and turn it right side out without having to have a opening. All because of this little gusset. What is pulling on my thread? I didn't catch that. Ugh. It's gonna be my book. It's gonna bug me if I know that that's not caught. So I'll just use the Satinedge Foot real quick and zip that one up. Did I do something wrong? What are you guys saying? I don't trust myself at all right now. I'm going to read the chat before I start stitching, just in case one of you knows something that I don't. Short ends of the bookmark pointing inside and the long ends pointing to the outside. This piece here needs to go behind these. Pretty sure I got it right. So that it ends up like this, where this is the gusset, the bookmarks come out from the center, and then inside of the book you have the ability to turn it right side out. Left needle position. And keep in mind, this is the first time I've done a book cover with the flaps also quilted. I pulled on it. That knot is bugging me. Should have glued it, or at least clipped it. Good old clips. Keep you from having your thick items shifting on you. Ah. This is one of those days that I'm not going to forget. Going all the way to the end. Well, not all the way to the end. I'm going to stop a 1/4 inch out from the end. Needle down. One of the times I do put needle down, using this straight stitch. And I could be using the crutch on the side to help the foot. My foot control is so far from me right now. Needle down, lift. And this is, I should have just cut it to the right size. I'll hop over. Ah, don't sew your ribbons or your bookmark bit in there. These are one of the episodes where I sit there and go, I don't know why you guys watch me. Look at all the mistakes you make. And needle down. Crutch. I'm like, why isn't it going? Draw edges together. Oof. We are not even close to being cut right or lined up right. See how well it goes. I need to end because I'm just too hungry and making too many mistakes because of it. I have to take something out and put something back in. It's doable. Just a straight stitch. Now, if I knew everything was sewn right, I would cut the corners off so that I get a nice true point. And I have no idea where I got this thing, but it is my absolute favorite for pushing my corners out. But what's really neat about it is you're able to turn it right side out. Oh, I did do it wrong. Eve was right. Eve was right. Oh, I feel so silly. I can't end like that. Oh my goodness. Why didn't any of you get me on that? It's your fault. You guys are supposed to watch out for me. How do you rip out fast? First off, I should have done it with zero tension the first time, so I could have moved it. No need for you to stare at my embarrassment. Ripping out seams is another great time to use your elbow pads and kind of rest as you fix your mistake. And you should not do what I do, which is kind of rip. Usually I can get away with it, but of course I use the best thread. Eve did try, I know. This is not a good day for Claire. Usually I pretend to turn it right side out. Does it make you feel better knowing that you that I do things like this? When I was at shows, I'd break a needle and people would actually cheer. Like, that's kind of mean. They're like, oh, it's just so nice to see you break a needle. Speaking of that, I have not broken one this year. And I think I only broke 6 or 7 last year. This is basic sewing. Yeah, I should have had my lunch an hour and a half ago, and then it fell on the floor and the dog got it. Come on. Can't find the stitch there. Where are my glasses? There they are. What should I do next week? What do you guys want me to teach next week? Any ideas? Anybody working on something that is a challenge? I know Brenda wants me to teach my quilt squares, but I'm going to be doing that. That's going to be a recorded video. I've already filmed most of it. It's just the editing. There we go. It's all in the flick of the wrist. I look beautiful ripping out my stitches. Thank you. You guys are so kind. Even though I'm like going, because the batting is getting all over me. Almost ready to do it right. I was like, I should have caught that. It's so obvious. So obvi, as the kids say. You need to embroider butterflies. I did do a butterfly video. I want to paint something and sew it, but I'm like, you know, I've done a lot of that. It's time to just do a painting for the Beyond the Brushstrokes channel. What kind of butterflies do you want? Monarchs or purple or blue, or what kind of butterflies do you want? There's only about 1,000 different types out there. Ugh, batting everywhere. It helps if you close your eyes like that. All right, let's build this the right way. It's so funny. That's such basic sewing. I was wondering, I'm like, I don't remember the ribbon being on the batting. Because it's not. It's kept in the little pocket. This is one of those times when I'll just sit on the couch afterward and shake my head for a little while and go, can't believe you did that. And let's just make everything easier this time and trim it. It's all because the ends aren't just regular fabric. They got batting. So my brain's like, we've never done this before. Let's slow down. So you only have to sew it once. Eve almost saved me. Line that up with a line. This ruler has a little lip on it. But this ruler is supposed to have this little lip on the end. It's supposed to line up with the edge of the mat and be straight, but mine, I think this is like not straight. Either that or I mess up a lot, so we'll see. I'm gonna analyze it. The fabric is lined up on the mat. When you have such a mess, it's good to have a ruler like that. No, don't cut that smaller, Claire. Can't cut the lining smaller. Yay. And I feel like I can hear Eve go, don't chop off your thingy. Do I really want this bookmark? Put that in there for now. I'll pull that back out. Okay, now I'm going to sew it, right? Are we good to go? Give me a thumbs up if I'm good to go. I can't believe you're all still here with me. You are so nice to stay with me through a rip out session. Oh my goodness, the patience you have. I think tonight's a glass of wine night. The CutterPillar, if I'm only tracing down design on fabric with a pencil, you want the edge to edge mat. So when you get the CutterPillar, you get the lined mat. The one that you want that's extra is the one that doesn't have the lines. So you don't get lost with all these lines blocking your view of tracing. So what's really neat about the edge to edge mat is there are in fact lines. And they're a centimeter apart. They're on the diagonal. And then they also have the markings on the side. So you can still utilize it for lining things up. But you have a much easier time with foundation paper piecing and any type of applique work. So when I use it for quilting, for piecing, I use the lined mat, and I glue my fabric shapes to this side, so after I cut a piece I can lay it over and make sure it's square. I can just, it's square. If it's not square, I can see and cut it. It makes piecing so much faster. This is coming up on that video on piecing. You can see that I have 3 different shapes on here, and these are the 3 different shapes I have to check so that when I sew I know that I have a perfect square before I ever get to the last for the final construction. Coming soon, and it's pre-recorded so you don't have to watch me fumble. No fumbling. All right, we'll just pretend. Should I do that? Should I just not have people watch that? I should delete the middle of the video. Now instead, I will put a marker in the, I'll have like a, I don't know. All right, so that's how we lay them together, and now we're going to stitch them. And I usually use the pearls and piping foot when I sew thick fabrics together, by the way. And I'm just going to do that. And it's something that I discovered making bowl cozies. Put the washer on the pearls and piping foot over to the right, and that moves your needle further over to the left. And then it kind of, the thick batting kind of rolls up inside the tunnel. So it really makes a nice bowl cozy sewing foot. And the shape of the tunnel, it falls off the side and gives you that 1/4 inch amount. Coming to the point, bring my needle down. I should have clipped and glued, and I didn't. $20% off till midnight tonight, February 16th, 2023. Midnight Arizona time. If you need my assistance, you can call after the show, and I'm happy to help you. I'll work another hour after the show. Oh, it's 5 already. I went long. If any of you cannot figure out how to place your order, and you can call me tomorrow and I'll help you and you can get the discount. Because sometimes people get confused when ordering the CutterPillar stuff. So just know that I don't mind when you guys need my help. Tape. What tape? I use washi tape. I don't sell it. I really should. I use painter's tape as well. I like the washi tape because it comes in 1/4 inch sizes, so you can stick it places and you know it's a 1/4 inch distance. So if you can find washi tape like that size. Otherwise, 1/4 inch painter's tape or artist tape works great. They all don't leave any residue on your machine. I actually just put a few dots of the liquid base glue on the fabric. I'll flip it over and let you guys see, even though it's part of the next recorded video release. I'll end with a quick thing and let you know that it won't be long because I just have to record one more thing and then I can edit that video together. I will grab the fabric so you can see real quick. And you'll see why it's so helpful for piecing since there is a sale. There's my back. I'm so hungry. All right, I did it right now, right? Do we agree? I'm going to turn it right side out. Yeah, okay. So, cut those corners off. Don't cut the thread. And this is a great tool for pushing your points, but so are the, which is another item. Finding anything right now after what I've been through. So are the applique tools. So I have no idea where I got that, which isn't very nice of me to even show it. So I usually use my CutterPillar, no, my Appliquick hand tools. But it's really cool because now you just pull it out like that. And so if you're not into fabric painting, you can piece together. You could do some, what is that? What is that kind? What is it called? I was going to do it today. It's a good thing I didn't choose that today because you really need a good brain to do the paper piecing. I was going to do a little paper piecing cover. I have a sunflower design that I haven't released yet for paper piecing, and I was like, that would be such a cute cover, sunflower paper piecing. All right. There's my, I'll turn this off so you can see better. And then what I like to do is take my fabric. The batting is everywhere. I'm so whiny. I'm a little bit whiny. We take, when I have a lot of batting, I like to take it to the edge of the table or a mat and go like that. It's a fast way of pressing instead of using the iron. And I'm not saying that I won't iron this, because I absolutely will. I will press it nice. I got thread everywhere and batting everywhere. Let's see how it fits. It's fun once you get it. Oh, paper piecing? Paper piecing is not for the faint of heart. It makes for an incredible... I didn't make it... I made it too small on the top. But my goal was to do what? Come on, baby. There we go. Was to have a book cover for novel reading. And this is my Beyond the Brushstrokes book. Nope, it's too short. I should have measured. But I know I have lots of little books and stuff, so I'll be able to use it. This has got to be like one of the worst episodes of Fabrically Speaking Live. This is when you know I'm human. This is the one I did without being live, and it's perfect. Using the same process, but measuring, and see how nice the cover slides in. Measure twice, cut once. But I'm sure I got other books that will fit in there, because I have lots of notebooks. Do you guys have a lot of notebooks as well? I like the split because you can have it be on one page, and then like if you're doing art, and then another for the other page, and then flip back and forth easy. They're pretty though, aren't they? And they feel so good in your hand. And this one's just a little bit big, so they don't. It's better to have it a little bit big than a little bit short. With that, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, you're amazing. Hit that like button and make sure you hit it on the way out of the live chat, because it's a different like than liking in here in the live. And it helps the algorithm, helps me, helps YouTube know you had fun despite all the mess. And if you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I sure hope you'll do so today. If you need my help placing an order, you can call me tomorrow as well, or send me a note and let me know you want me to call you. You can do that on the contact form at creativefeet.com or inside of createwithclairerowley.com, which is my school. and or call and leave a message on the voicemail, and make sure you give me your phone number. And know that my phone number is 928-775-3484. So put that in your friendly list on your phone so you don't so you actually answer the phone if I call. And with that, I love you all, and see if I can end the show right this time. I've definitely been challenged lately. I'm starting to feel like I'm getting a little old. Love you all so much. CreativeFeet.com is where the sale is going on through midnight tonight. 20% off and free shipping on orders over $59 in the United States. And what we do is we credit you back what it would have cost us to ship it to you if you lived in the United States. Should you be watching from another country, we give it back to you. We give you back some of your money on the shipping to make it not feel so bad. If we ever forget to do that, please let me know. It's pure accidental if we err. And I'm training Michelle again, so we have made a few mistakes recently. We're doing our best. And as I mentioned, the CutterPillar light tablets, if you order one today, I mean, they're filling back orders from September of last year right now on this particular size mat, which is my favorite size. You also want to get a glass. Now, if you want a glass for the whole thing, you need to buy 2. But one glass covers half of this, and the glass allows you to ink directly over this and also iron on the glass right on top of the mat, and that sounds scary. And they have the circular mat. As well, and this is also clear. So you sit it on top of your CutterPillar and it becomes see-through and traceable, and this is absolute perfection for foundation paper piecing, having the ability to spin it so you don't have to pick your fabric up and move it around. Also great for cutting if you sew around two fabrics together, a square, and you lay it down. You've sewn all the way around the outside of the 1/4 inch, and this is how I made my quilt. Oh, that's right, I was going to show you this. You sew around with right sides together, you sew around, and then you chop it, and you chop it, and you end up with 1/4 square triangles. Having a round board that spins makes it so much easier to cut those 2 cuts, because you don't have to pick your fabric up and move it or spin your entire mat around. And so back to what I was going to end. I'm almost done. So what you see here, these green fabrics, this is actually fabric, and it's cut the sizes for the pieces for my quilt blocks that I'm making for my bed. So after I cut these squares, and I want to make sure I cut it straight, I just lay it over the fabric that's beneath it that I took real good care. And you can see through it, and you can make sure that if you need to square it off at all, you don't have to measure every time, because the perfect measurement is easy to see right through the mat. After I sew several pieces together, this piece is supposed to measure this amount. I lay it on top, and if it doesn't, I need to square it off. These little pieces are also part of the equation, and if they're not square with that, then my overall square won't be accurate. So this allows you to know as you're sewing that every section of your sewing process measures correctly, and then when all your pieces are cut out right, your last couple rows of stitches, and you have a perfect quilt block instead of hoping you're going to have a perfect quilt block. And also know that when you don't press your seams open flat, that the piece that gets bent over gets shorter. So that's where the scant 1/4 inch became a thing. If you just spread all your fabric seams open, you don't have to think as hard, and you're more likely to have a perfect quilt block after sewing all your seams together. It seems like a good idea to fold your fabric under, but seams that are folded over become thicker. And when you're doing a bunch of points and having all your points come together in a spot, it becomes impossible for your needle to go through or the foot to ride up and over it, and almost impossible to get your points nice and perfect. Using the presser for pressing first, then ironing after, you don't get the spreading of the fabric as much. And where all the seams come together, you use the back of the presser and you literally can beat it up. You can also take a hammer and hammer your fabric so that they're flatter where you have lots of joins. But simply spreading your fabrics open makes it less likely to ever need to use a hammer. And hammers do work. Seems a little violent. Love you all so much. I will see you next Thursday on the next episode of Fabrically Speaking Live or in this school. Love you all. Thanks for watching. Bye.